Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Time Traveler's Handbook. We're in the middle of our discussion on Bill and Ted Face the Music. Spoilers ahead. Today's episode, we will be diving into the mechanic of multiple time periods being in sync, which we've mentioned in previous episodes talking about Bill and Ted. The way I'd like to start talking about this is to talk about what the mechanic is not. Think of it this way. If you were traveling in time, where could you go? Simple enough question, and most of the time the answer is literally anywhere in space and time. You could go to the moment 5 seconds before you left to stop yourself from making a mistake, or you could travel years into the future. This mechanic that is used in Bill and Ted Face the Music places a restriction on the time travelers in that their home time plane runs in the same time as them, which means that time travel to moments before your time is impossible. We pointed out in the first episode of this series that the time travel destinations shift with the time travelers. That is because as the time travelers move through time, they are also progressing in time at a normal rate. Their home time period thus happens in sync with wherever they are in time and space now, and this creates an artificial sense of urgency to get things done. The idea of this is intriguing, but ultimately a little bit flawed. One of the plot points used in the original movie is that Bill and Ted go back in time to before something bad happens, giving themselves the tools they'll need to fix it at the time, and then the past versions of themselves find a way out of that situation as long as they have an access to the time machine in the future. If this is possible, why would there be any sense of urgency at all? They could simply travel backwards a bit and give themselves more time to solve their problems. Or, better yet, go to another point in time for a long time, figure everything out, and then travel back when they need to go back. In fact, in the second movie, there's a point in which they time travel to another time, spend 14 months trying to learn how to be good at guitar, and then travel back to their concert a second later. And this seems to break all of the rules that we just stated that the universe has. With this revelation, the whole idea of this mechanic being a restriction on our main characters and a driving force to stop them from wasting time is totally shattered. As I mentioned before, the second movie even goes out of its way to explain away some plot holes by just making them time travel somewhere else for a while and then travel back moments later and have all of the tools they need to solve their problems. So it's even exploited in the boundaries of this universe. However, I think this new movie does something clever to make the stakes seem more real. See, the stakes in this film have to do with the fabric of space and time itself. Specifically, if a certain event doesn't happen at a certain time, specifically the concert, everything collapses, and that moment is pivotal on Bill and Ted's timeline and decisions to make it happen. Additionally, the main characters are pursued by a robot that is trying to kill them, and they see that the possible futures that happen if they don't make the event happen are not desirable, giving our characters motivation to find the answer. This distracts us from the fact that they could travel backwards and fix things, and show that if they did, they could risk the event not happening at all, since it's so time conditional, or they could risk the robot catching up with them and ending them before they have the chance to fix things. I think Bill and Ted is one of the best examples of this kind of mechanic, although I do think it can be improved and used better in other media. If you're going to stick with this idea that time moves with you, even when you're time traveling, I would say go all the way and make something really interesting with that. The third movie does it the best out of the three for sure, but I think you could improve on the ideas that are expressed here and make something with much higher stakes than what's shown in these. Next time, we'll have a shorter video talking about the time machines used in the trilogy, and then we'll have a couple more topics to talk about that this third movie in the trilogy introduces to the Bill and Ted collection. As always, thank you for listening.